Arcane, a new animated Netflix original series produced by Riot Games, is set in the universe of the popular video game League of Legends and dives into the growing tensions of a city divided, Piltover, a flourishing utopia, and the polluted undercity of Zaun, as both seek to obtain power over the other. Today, I want to talk about a specific scene in Arcane. This is the second scene in the series where we see the main antagonist Silco, and I want to talk about how the way this scene is edited reflects the character of Silco, who he is as a person, how he acts, and just how the editing in the scene just embodies him. So we start with an extreme long shot. It's a nice establishing shot underwater, and we can actually see them all the way in the back inside this underwater base, which is a nice detail. But we also see this big giant fish that is just covering up most of the scene. It's swimming from left to right. Now this fish is important because when we cut to the next scene, that motion, that energy, that trajectory the fish had, it is picked up by Silco, moving from left to right. And this is just a great way to already establish a connection between this giant monster and Silco. And it also tells us that even though Silco isn't physically taking up as much space as the fish, his presence definitely is. We then see them both look out through the window and into the water, and notice that the shot gives you just enough time for both of them to look out the window, specifically the blonde guy as he looks out a bit later than Silco. And the shot gives us a second to kind of get the gist of where they are looking, and right when we get that idea, it cuts to this shot. And this shot serves to, well, flip the perspective. The past two shots were outside of the glass. Now, this shot brings us into the glass and into their space. During this part, Silco says,
"Yet up there, on the surface, no one even knows they exist."
And yes, in this context, he is clearly talking about the fish, but in the overall context of the story, he is also talking about himself, as the surface he is talking about is the city of Piltover, and that the privileged people up there don't know that a monster like him exists down here. And so it's already building so many connections between him and the fish, the monster. And this line is also important because it cuts to this close-up of him right here, right when he says, "No one even knows they exist." And it cuts when he says it to reinforce even more that he is not only talking about the fish, he is talking about himself. So at this point, we have been shown 4 shots, from far to close to a nice little perspective change to a close-up. It's almost like these shots are dragging us into the conversation. They all have pretty similar lengths, and the pacing of these shots are, well, pretty slow. It's a conversation and nothing is really happening. But more importantly, the slow pacing, the rhythm of these shots, they're mirroring Silco as he slowly paces around, slowly speaks with confidence and accuracy. I'm saying this now because the next shot is considerably short, and it's this medium full shot of their backs. Now, I say the pacing mirrors Silco because so far everything has gone smoothly where he's talking about this fish, but suddenly the other guy responds with,
"They're monsters."
and so Silco is kind of taken aback from that statement. It was unexpected. He wasn't expecting it. Silco kinda lost control of the situation, and so the shortness and length of the shot actually shows how quickly Silco is able to recover from his situation, because instantly it cuts back into a very menacing close-up of Silco's face. He now has the control, and now he has brought us back into his conversation. And immediately after Silco finishes saying his line, it triggers a cut to this shot of him confidently raising up this vial of purple liquid, which is basically like steroids times 10, but it kinda kills you. And the reason it immediately cuts after he finishes his line and has a shorter length compared to all the other shots, it's to reflect the swiftness and the confidence in Silco's actions. Now, the other guy at this point realizes how dangerous this situation is, and then it cuts back out to this medium long shot. But this time, it is the blonde guy that initiated it, as he realized that he wants no part of this, forcing himself out of the conversation, forcing himself out of the close-up. However, this composition here with the camera looking from inside a glass enclosure with bloodstains on it tells us that even though he was able to force his way out for just a little bit, it won't last, cause he is trapped. And then it cuts back to a close-up of Silco, and this shot reminds us that he still has the power here. You're not going anywhere, I still have more to say to you. And super quickly, Silco looks down and it instantly cuts to this worm's eye view of him quickly grabbing the knife. The motion and trajectory of his knife, as well as the motion of the camera, then follows over to the next shot as that motion is caught and then completed. These actions go by fast, and it reflects Silco's ability to quickly think about his actions and then methodically act on them. In this shot, Silco thinks for a bit, and it's long enough for us to know that he is, in fact, thinking about something. Then, as quickly as he started thinking, he looks down, triggering the cut. He quickly steals the knife, triggering another cut, and once we land on this shot, he immediately begins talking again. So after he talks for a bit, Silco points the knife towards the other guy, and it triggers another cut, where, oh, hey look, it's a close-up. He's back in. Last time we saw him was in a medium full shot. There's no medium full shot here. He is trapped. But this shot in particular really shows the raw fear this guy is feeling right now, and just that one frame, that one single frame where the eye twitches, it just enhances that emotion even more. And surprise, surprise, another cut triggered by Silco doing another action. So far, most of this scene is just Silco and how powerful he is, how controlling he is. He is just so powerful that the edit is forced to happen whenever he does or is about to do something. And speaking of power, it cuts to this extreme close-up shot as Silco says the word power. And this is the closest we have gone. This is the point of the highest tension. This shows how much control Silco has over this situation to be able to bring the blonde guy and us, the viewers, into this small and uncomfortable position where you can literally see the spit coming out of his mouth, which also does a really good job at showing how much power he puts into, well, saying the word power. At this point, he has the knife, he has full control, but it cuts from the closest shot we have back to this medium full shot, and we, the audience, get a bit of breathing room, and for this poor guy as well, as Silco kind of just stops and examines the knife and throws it on the ground. It's a sigh of relief. And at this point, tension begins to release, but it's a controlled release. And it's controlled by Silco, because although Silco lets go of the knife, although we are in this wide open space for us to breathe, at this point we can still feel the tension. It's almost as if Silco is purposefully taking his foot off of the scary monster pedal just a little bit for the guy to not completely break down. Because right after we get this release, Silco begins to walk back towards the guy, and tension begins to rise again, and then it cuts right back into this close-up shot, almost as if Silco is saying, alright, I gave you the chance to breathe, now come back in and listen to the most important thing that I'm going to tell you. As the final shot plays out for 12 whole seconds, 2 times longer than the second longest shot in this sequence, emphasizing the importance of those words and of the control Silco has to hold us there for that long. What we have seen in the editing of this single scene tells us a lot about Silco as a character, how he's confident, powerful, controlling, and able to handle any situation quickly. How the overall slow pacing, sprinkled with some fast cuts, reflects Silco's overall presence. as a slow and methodical predator who acts quickly on his plans. But yeah, that's my analysis that I did for my editing class. Wow, look at that reused content, let's go! If you enjoyed the video, please like and maybe subscribe. And if this video does well enough, hey, maybe I'll do more analysis videos and stuff like that if people are interested. But yeah, that's been all for the video. Peace.